Party's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of Fair Gotham. Welcome to Bat Minute of the Phantasm, the show that uses your tax money to pay us, these jerks. Ha! Screw you. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here with a face that everyone goes, oh no! As soon as they see it, it's me! Oh my god.
Oh, I know I do. It's this guy.
Constant.
Again.
You entered into the contract, John. We have to finish every single Batman movie they've ever made.
Oh,
that's not true. We're not doing that.
No, we are. You've said it on air now. We're doing every single one, including like the 45-minute animated sort of, extra long episodes.
Jimmy Gunn came out, was like, we're casting a new Batman again. We're making this Brave and the Bold movie. And you just heard an audible from Liverpool.
Well, hopefully you won't be having that reaction to our guest, our wonderful guest. We are joined by a returning champion, a hero. It is the one, the only, Kiri Callaghan.
With a face that makes you go, my God.
You could take that either way, I suppose. That might be a good thing or a bad thing.
It's really just I'm enamored by the moment where Alfred in this movie has that when he first sees Bruce's Batman. He goes, oh, my God, or dear God, or so. I don't know. The way he gasps it, I'm just like, yes. I don't know why.
My favorite thing now is you've completely changed how I feel about it. Because before I was like, oh, it's like really emotional and deep. And now you're making me think that he's a bit kind of attracted to it.
You can take it so many ways. Just, my God. I think Alfred's actor gets all the points in this movie for just like the very subtle noise acting.
Yes.
He does. It's my favorite part. I've decided.
And that's the thing, because it must be deliberate, because otherwise they would cut it out. So he must have gone, no, this is what the character would do.
Absolutely. And I love it, actually. That's not even sarcasm. I love his little, his little gasps and then his, ooh.
And he's super sassy.
The number of times he walks in on Andrea and Bruce kissing, he's like, oh. Yeah. Just like...
It bothers me, though, that should be like, it's setting up a comedy rule of 3 thing, but they leave it at 2. Yeah. And you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, they do.
It should be like like next week when the Joker's got like Arthur Reeves over that desk or something, and just Alfred walking in like, whoop.
Alfred walks in on Joker and Reeves.
Just always at the worst moments he should
inexplicably with tea. Just
Well, I thought if he had a cup of tea that might calm him down on his Batman hates, but how about
hey, tea solves all.
I would watch a Batman farce. It's set up like an English farce of just door slamming back and forth.
I mean, why not? We've got the character that you could center it around right there.
Exactly. I would. Oh my gosh. Yes. And instead of up the downstairs, it'd be something like up the Batcave, or I don't know. And it would simply be a Batman episode purely from Alfred's point of view.
Oh, 100%. I don't know if you've seen the Flash, Kiri, because no one has.
The new one?
Yeah.
I have not. I'm waiting for it to come out, and then I'm going to have a friend tell me exactly when Michael Keaton appears, and that is all I shall be watching.
In the beginning of The Flash, Jeremy Irons returns as Alfred. And it's just I love him as Alfred. So all those Zack Snyder movies, well, not, neither here nor there, whatever, Jeremy Irons as Alfred is just this was the greatest thing that he ever did. And I would 100% watch a Jeremy Irons Alfred movie where it's just him.
I mean, they're
throwing around Wayne Manor cleaning and stuff.
Jeremy Irons will, no matter what role you put him in, will just chew the scenery and be amazing. And he's a very talented man. Yep. And a few months ago, we rewatched the original D&D movie because we were going to go see the new one. And we're like, let us remember the glory of Jeremy Irons and his sidekick, Damodar.
He's the best part of the movie again.
The blood
I will
rain
say-
from the sky.
Damodar is pretty high up there for me. I'm like, you are ridiculous. You are so ridiculous with your very clearly lipsticked blue.
Did you see though
doesn't even look like makeup.
Did you see the outtake though of like the thing was doing the rounds where it was like showing you Jeremy Irons between takes where he's like full in hamming it up like really rah, in the middle of things, and as soon as they call cut, he's just like this and just kind of like storms off the set like he does not like this whole. But the thing is, if someone hates being on set so much. But he's the best thing in the movie, so it's like, well, that's how good he is. Like and
that's the thing is you're professional. It's like, even if you don't like the movie, you're still gonna like, I'm gonna bring everything to it. This is a paycheck.
Yep.
But it's a paycheck, and I'm gonna give them my A game. Like I'm not gonna phone it in.
We will begin. This is minute 53. The minute starts with a new stance. And it ends with an entrance. That kind of works, right?
You can't hear it, but I'm giving you a snap. So that was nice.
Let's say too, like
I think I pulled it.
We'll get to it, but like in terms of just like a moment to end a minute on, I think this is like the best one of the season because it's like, oh, that's how you end a minute right there. It was just this.
Yeah.
It's like they were thinking of us.
Yeah, we were so frustrated earlier in the season when like. Bruce was, goes to the flashback of him about to put the Batman mask on for the first time. And like about a second before he does it, that's where it cut. And we're like, oh, come on, give us the catharsis of seeing it happen. Like, no, come back next week.
You can't do Bat minute and a second.
No.
No, it's cheating. We stick to the exact minute. We never, ever cheat.
Yeah. But Kiri, we are asking people, because, Mask of the Phantasm, widely renowned film, but actually not all that widely seen. But what's your history with this movie? Like, were you familiar with it beforehand?
I did not see it until I was, but I did not see it until much later, which is funny because like I watched the animated series, but now I'm kind of wondering like, was I watching mostly reruns or was I watching new stuff? I don't know. But I didn't see Mask of the Phantasm until I think it was played on like cable or something like that. Like I didn't see it until it got a TV cut version or something.
Did it strike you at the time as being like, oh, this is amazing, or was it just like, that's more like it's
I remember really enjoying it. I do also remember being confused, and honestly rewatching it for this, I was also going like, I actually am not sure how this fits into the canon, if it's a canon on its own. Just because with the Joker parts, there's like so much that I'm like, okay, some of this fits, some of it doesn't, but I'm not entirely sure how it works with like the rest of. I don't know. I actually have mixed feelings about the Joker actually being in this story, to be honest.
I think it's a thing we've grappled with it because it's like,
I imagine
it's a thing where it's like, oh, it's like a very somber, slow. Oh no, it's not slow at all, really, because we're zooming through the season, but. Yeah. Like it's sort of a very grounded Batman tale. Like, oh, it's just Batman, gangsters, and like this, person dressed up, but it's clearly just a person dressed up. And then the Joker just coming in so late in the movie is such a but I think on paper it kind of works in terms of like, well, he's supposed to be the wild card element, and he's supposed to be a very like even in this at the end of this minute, he shows up at a political Councilman Reeves' office, who's just a very dull office doing a dull job. And then just to get this flash of carnival-esque freakishness just showing up is to try to emphasize like this is what Gotham's become because of circumstances and stuff. I think that's what's supposed to be on paper, but yeah, it doesn't. When you're watching the movie, it does feel a bit like, is that what you're going for?
He feels a little shoehorned in of like, well, we're not sure how to tie this up a little bit further. Let's just throw the Joker in, and then maybe he dies at the end. I'm like, we're just not going to touch on that, I guess. I've never been a big fan of like knowing too much, knowing nearly anything about the Joker's past.
Oh, I've got some notes coming up later in these minutes that you're not going to care for, Kiri.
And maybe I also had a hefty giggle about this minute because I love that he figures it out just by drawing with a red pencil. oh no, this is the Joker on one of
one of the classic minutes of the whole. Because one thing's like, artistic masterpiece, the Mask of the Phantasm is. It's just kind of like, no matter what way you spin, it's like, it's kind of dopey though. That's the way he puts this together.
I mean, it's lovely, but yeah.
I'd have liked it more. I know we'll get to it, but if he, this might be equally as stupid to some people, but if he was just doodling, like idly, because he's thinking and he's not looking. Because, I used to do that all the time as a kid. I'd just draw magazines over people's eyes and mouths and stuff. So maybe he could have been doing that, and then he just looked down and was like, "Oh my god!" Like
in the middle of that's what Batman does with his evidence. Is like, just doodles on top of it all the time.
You know what? What if? Okay, so this, I'm gonna build on that because I like the accidental thing about it. Because also when you look at that guy, it almost just feels like, did you just identify him by his nose? What's going on here?
Maybe the chin?
Because I have no idea why he just decides to draw that smiley face on him. And then he picks it up and looks so horrified. I love it. Just, oh, no.
That is the reaction, too. It's just like the sudden panic of it's been the Joker for the last 10 years, I guess.
Yeah, right? But he's got, he's at his desk. I was when he was mentioned, he was just doodling. I'm like, what if he had white out on his desk or something? Knocks it over, starts cleaning it off the photo. Yes. And then you literally have this guy's eyes staring through pure white. And that idea of oh my God.
Even better.
That would actually be good if it was just maybe he just saw the eyes through the white out.
Yeah, because that's so much there of just those crazed eyes.
Because there is
on a white face.
Yeah, there's an episode of the animated series too. It was the first one I ever saw that I can remember when I was a kid. Be a Clown, where the Joker. I think it was one of those things. The studio notes interfered with it. So originally it was that the Joker kidnapped the mayor's son, and then they went, "You can't have that. As the child being in peril, you can't have that on this show." And they're like, "Okay," so it changed into the kid follows the Joker home. Basically, this kid's 12 or something. But yeah, the Joker shows up at the mayor's birthday party and is dressed as a clown, like Beppo the Clown or something. And at one point he goes over to Bruce Wayne and he's doing a kind of the guy from The Honeymooners kind of voice of "Hey, how's it going there, buddy?" And then Bruce Wayne's kind of get away from me. You're creeping me out a little bit. And then as soon as the Joker laughs, Bruce Wayne's instantly goes that laugh. I know that laugh straight away. So there was they've done the thing of just some little thing that he knows is fused in his memory about the Joker. Is but this one it's just is it that the photo's in black and white? Maybe if he saw him in color, he wouldn't recognize him. But the fact that the photo's in black and white, it's that guy's white skin, and now I know who that is. So.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it is purely his eyes is what he's focusing on. So your thing with the whiteout would work quite well because no matter how someone's appearance might change, you can tell sometimes. You can see it in the eyes.
The eyes are the only thing you can't really change.
Yeah.
I'm also realizing a ton of people were credited for writing on this, so I don't know how many edits it went through. Had a brief moment I wonder if Paul wrote on this. And yes, he did.
Well, that's right.
Basically everyone.
You know Paul Dini. That's
I do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I got to make a beautiful freaking southwestern mural for him in one of his offices. It was great.
Where'd that come from? How did that come about?
I know his wife through a friend.
Oh, Misty Lee.
Yeah. Because
Cool
she used to. My
lady.
friend used to help out with some of her work at the Magic Castle and such, and then
that was one of the things I only found out this season through doing the show. Was I know Paul Dini, and then just looking in, it's his wife is Misty Lee, who's a famous magician. I was like, what?
And voice actor. She does a ton of voice work.
Yeah,
too.
she's the voice of all the clickers in The Last of Us.
Yeah,
because if you were playing that game, every one of the clickers, that's Paul Dini's wife. I was like, what? And then find out she was on Penn and Teller and stuff. I was like, oh my God, what? And she has she has a collection of glass eyeballs and stuff. I was like, this woman sounds amazing to me.
A badass. I love Misty. But yeah, we were doing some between gig work, helping around the house, and then it just came up of well, what do you want to do with this office? And I was like, well, if you want a mural, I could do something. And then I showed them what we've done in our house, and they're like, Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
I don't have to put any pressure on you, Kiri, though, but if you should want to mention the show to Paul Dini, then by all means, we wouldn't say no. Don't come on. But I can't tell you.
I don't have that sway.
That's fair enough.
Alas.
No, go round and get him now.
Okay.
But I can't tell you, it's not so much that it got re-edited, is that they were making the show, or that it got redrafted, the script. It was that they were all working on the show at the same time. And so they were basically told, like, Paul Dini wrote all the Joker scenes. Those are his scenes. And then, Alan Burnett did the flashback scenes. And then someone else did, the action scenes, that kind of thing. So it was just, there's so many because it's just more like, you guys were writing,
you got so many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's that idea of, like, the through line. Because it's funny. It's one of those things where I'm like, I actually have no issue with any scene in particular. It's literally what doesn't feel quite right now as an adult watching it. I definitely did not feel this way as a kid, but as an adult who kind of understands structure a bit more, I'm like, oh, the through line is a little weird.
Yeah.
And how it's strung together.
It could be that, like, I don't know how often they do something like that, where they're like, oh, write a film while you're writing a TV show, and you guys all write separate scenes, and we'll just cobble it together. It does seem like an odd way of, like, or a one-way ticket to, like, disjointedville, you know?
Yeah, there's got to have been someone who was, like, supervising that, and I'm like, I feel like you might have dropped the ball a bit or something, where it's like, because you can't expect, like, especially as they're writing the show, there's so much different canon, like, how would you not even, like, that just seems like a mind pretzel.
It's
so
wild.
I have so much respect for that. But yeah, there's just, I don't know. There's certain parts of this where I'm like, I don't know if that served the story, but when you were like, no, we need to have, like, a recognizable character, I was like, oh yeah, that does sound like a higher up being like, no, we need one of our cash cows. Throw in the Joker.
Yeah. It's purely my speculation, though. I haven't read anything confirming that. I could see it being the case.
Yeah.
But the moment you said it, I was like, oh, you know what, though? That feels so accurate.
It seems odd, though, as well, because the film is notorious box office flop. And you do wonder then, it's like, well, the Joker wasn't on the poster. The poster was just the Phantasm of Batman. Maybe if you put the Joker on the poster, people would have showed up to it.
Yeah, that could disprove my theory, to be honest, because you would probably put him on the poster.
Yeah, it seems like every time I see some fan art of the movie, though, people have done fan posters and they put the Joker on it, I always think, like, no, the Joker's not a big enough part of it to warrant being on the poster, which might have been the mindset of when they were making the poster.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it's like, well, if you're putting him in to be a draw, you gotta put him on the poster.
Well, they might have done it of, like, he's gonna be like a sneaky surprise of, like, oh, the Joker's involved, but also, is he? Like, what
loosely
are you doing
connected
here, bro?
to events.
And it all feels so kind of like because this is essentially we're dealing with it now, though, in terms of, like, we get to talk about that photo properly in this minute.
Yeah.
It does feel very like, well, in the '89 movie, he was a gangster, so I guess, and they had all those stipulations in when they were making the show of, like, the Penguin's got to look like Danny DeVito, like, just make him look more like that. On the Catwoman has to look more like, they originally wanted Catwoman to look like Julie Newmar, like the free flowing hair and all that stuff, and they're like, no, it has to look like Michelle Pfeiffer, kinda, at least a little bit. And so I can't help but feel that they are like, well, the Joker backdrop is that he's got to be a gangster, because that's what people knew him previously as a gangster.
But now he's not even like, the boss. He's just this random crony in the background.
Oh, I don't mind that, though. I quite like that because of what ends up happening to Sal Valestra and stuff. Yeah. I like the Joker as being a thing that nobody assumes is going to be a big deal until he's in their face. And so I really love that in the start of, like, The Dark Knight, when they're talking about what to do with the mob's money. And Gordon at one point is just like, what about this clown guy? And Batman's like, him or the entire mob, he can wait. And then the whole movie happens, and you're like, oh, you probably should have got on that a bit sooner there, Batman. So I like the idea of the Joker. It's like, oh, he was just a small cog within the mob. And now he's the guy who's, like, viciously just killing mobsters when they come to him for help and stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but before we even get to all that, though, we do have like, I love this shot, though, of Bruce looking at this picture of him and Andrea the day that Bruce's eyes disappeared. For some reason, they don't have his eyeballs drawn in that picture there.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Holy crap. He looks like an Archie character in that. I'm not gonna lie. Just like these tiny little
And then he does it, like, oh, maybe when this is settled, and then lowering a picture of him and Andrea together, and then lowering it down, seeing his parents behind it.
Yeah.
And framed in a very similar way. And it's like, I love the fact that it's gone from, because he's mulling over, like, he's actually considering that, like, maybe after I get this Phantasm thing sorted, I can stop being Batman because the love of my life is back. And seeing what used to be that painting at the beginning was like, this was the reminder, the re-up, the recharge to his pain was to come and look at this painting. And to now see like a picture of himself going like, that could be, instead of a reminder of my past, it could be a signal of my future, because we could end up like this, older couple in the painting. It could finally happen for me.
But they did die.
But they at least died together.
Yeah.
That's true. They had a look. Everyone's going to die in some way.
Yeah. We had a kind of but me and John had a misunderstanding last minute, Kiri, where John's on John, you got the vibe that like it's. Bruce is not really considering being with Andrea. He's too engaged in that. Where I have the much more optimistic thing of like, I think he genuinely is like, I could finally get out of this. Let me
clarify. It's not that he's not thinking about it. It's that I think he wants it, but he's also like, I can't.
I think we would concede that we both acknowledge that he's conflicted. I just think that he's conflicted in one way, and you think he's conflicted in the other way. Yeah. And do you think there's any hint here, Kiri, that like this could be the end of Batman?
I think if he's not genuinely considering it, it takes away from the tragedy.
Yeah.
I think you need that moment of, oh, maybe he's actually going to give this up. And Alfred even seems hopeful, honestly.
Yeah.
Of like,
Alfred always wants to get him out of it.
They want you to be happy, bro.
Yeah.
This is a total sidetrack, but honestly, like it's beautiful moments like this that made me so pissed off at the Gotham show where like he's like, no, Bruce isn't going to go to therapy. I'm like, this is the least Alfred thing.
Alfred would be the one trying to sort this out. Like,
like,
get therapy.
maybe don't try to solve it with punching things and doing it. Like, maybe you should go talk to a genuine therapist. Who's not Dr. Crane.
Even the novelization of Batman and Robin had Bruce dealing with psychiatrists and stuff. They're like, of course he has to see a psychiatrist. You're nuts. But
yeah, I've always loved how caring Alfred was, and I think if you don't have him seriously considering like being like, well, maybe I can leave that, even if it's not even remotely realistic that he's going to do that, I think he has to believe that he can leave it behind in order for the end of this to be the tragedy that it is, of like realizing, oh, she can't let go of her, like, because I mean, Andrea is literally that mirror of, this is what I'm going to become if I let their death fuel me for vengeance.
Must get the Batman sometimes. Like, a lot of these people I keep having to fight, they're all like dark mirrors of myself. Like, it happens with stunning frequency. Like, I don't know.
Just having this whole mirror up to nature thing. He's like, could one of you maybe not make me think about my life choices so hard? That'd be great.
When you target supervillains and things, what do you expect? Go after normal crooks, Batman.
If only I could just get some dopey, like why can't Polka Dot Man just show up? He's not a dark mirror to me.
Yeah, there you go.
He's just some asshole.
He's just got polka dots. It's fine.
No, but no, I genuinely think the opening seconds of this minute this is the closest we're going to get to Bruce just been like, except for like actually earlier in the movie when he's like, I'm changing the plan. At that point, I think he hadn't even become Batman then, but he was out, I think. And this is the closest now post him being Batman where he's like, yeah, this could be it. This is
definitely the closest, no matter how you look at it. Yeah,
it's a quote like another classic Batman voice actor, where Will Arnett's in Arrested Development, where he's just like, "What is it I'm feeling? Is this? It's not hungry. It's not jealousy. It's like, is it love? I know what an erection feels like, Michael."
My God, I love him so much.
An actual god.
Potentially one of the best Batmans. Oh, really? But one thing I also want to point out here, too, and maybe this is just me. Might be a personal nickel. But considering, too, Kiri, that you went to the Paul Dini, you did a mural for his office. But what was the mural, by the way? Was it anything? It
was a Southwestern. He really loves like Southwestern imagery and whatnot. We were basically basing it off of that beautiful, it's not quite the same exact color scheme, but we were basing it off of in Three Amigos.
Oh, okay.
Where they're sitting around the campfire and there's that beautiful painted backdrop of where it's very clearly not It's very clearly like it's a backdrop. It's clearly a painted backdrop, but it's so pretty. And then he, oh gosh, what is her name? It's one of the first comics he worked on. It was like Mutant Texas or something. Ida Red. Sheriff Ida Red in Mutant Texas. So he's got a bar with her on it, and it was one of the first comics I believe he worked on, and so the entire thing has that very southwestern vibe of beautiful sunset, and then I think there's like a cow upholstered chair at one point, and this beautiful bar, and
it's gonna ruin people's perceptions of like people assume he's sitting in like an Art Deco Gothic mansion writing this stuff. It's like no, he's got like painted cactuses next to him.
No, it's so bright and lovely, and I will say there was a lot of purple and green.
Oh yeah,
in the house.
My two favorite colors.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
But yeah. And he drives, I don't know what kind of car it is, but it's this beautiful old school purple, like deep purple car. And it's just like, yes. But he's great, dude. Yeah. Misty's amazing. I am very happy that they're in my periphery of I get to occasionally say hi to them, and they're lovely people.
Yeah. Because the decor of Bruce's office here irks me somewhat. And I don't. It's probably entirely.
I think decor is very loose.
Well, it's specifically where he's put his chair for his desk, because the desk he's facing out this window. The desk is in the middle of the room, and then he's facing out the window, away from the door. And to me, that's weird. Like, I think when people are coming in, you're going to have to turn around to see them. Like,
I'm assuming this is his private office where he doesn't actually meet people.
That could, but yeah. So, I know on the flip side,
this isn't Wayne Enterprises, I believe.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's maybe.
But also, he's got what looks like a lazy boy as his office chair, and I don't know, because I have a non-traditional office chair, like for my computer. It's a nice little tufted wingback thing, but it's also on very easily slidable legs. Look at that. That has no legs. It's like boom on the ground. Like, how do you actually sit at your desk?
No, I mean, the answer is always Alfred. Like, how do you move that chair? You get Alfred into it.
Alfred just goes,
Alfred does everything. Jesus Christ.
And the way this desk is really confusing, actually. You look at where the lamp is placed. The phone is for some reason facing a different direction, as if he's going to answer it only from standing at the side of it. I don't know.
I guess if it's a private study, maybe he wants to look out the window. And why isn't it closer to the window? Why isn't it right by the window? I don't know. And also, it's just like, well, Batman.
There's nothing else in this room either. It's huge. And is it Berber carpet or is it granite? What is the floor?
Oh, everything in this universe seems to have a kind of grain to it. So
yeah, it does make it confusing, because you would think this room's a carpet, but that looks like stone.
It looks almost
something.
like stone.
And it would fit with the sort of vibe of the universe for everything to just be cold, hard stone.
Yeah. Plus this whole thing, I was like, well, I do work in a cave most of the time. I really like it down there, so if we could kind of make my office seem a little bit like a cave, that'd But also, too, like, we thought, like, him looking out the window, it's like, that's going to affect his concentration. Like, Batman's all about, like, keeping, or maybe that's how good he is. It's like, yes, there's beautiful scenery out there, but I never look at it.
I never look at it.
It's a challenge.
It is very interesting, because you've got Gotham, and the way it's done, it's like, you've got the noir, and then Gotham is clearly very Art Deco inspired. I freaking loved the World's Fair take they did, though I'm like, holy crap. You guys went all out for the World's Fair and clearly poured a ton of money into making what looks like almost a fully permanent theme park, and then for some reason abandoned it not that long after.
Hey, that happens in real life.
It does, but I was like, what happened here? But it's you've got the beautiful Art Deco style throughout most of Gotham, but then inside Wayne Manor almost seems like brutalist architecture, where it's just like, there's nothing in this room. Nothing. It's just picture of my dead parents, desk in the middle of the room.
It must be
comfy chair.
like impossible to buy for a gift like for Bruce Wayne. It's just like you get him any kind of doodad. It's like I don't want that. Like I don't want anything. Like
This is secretly why he can operate with just one butler in that giant mansion, is there's nothing in any of the rooms.
I always love that about
It's
him,
real
though,
quick and dirty.
that like any decoration of any kind, you just know, oh, that's Alfred doing that. Like Bruce
Right?
doesn't want anything in there.
it just sounds like all the office like drawers are just jam packed with stuff though. Like everything he gets is just like stuff it into the drawer. I don't want a single thing on top of this desk except my all black pencils, except for one red one that I have.
Doesn't even open gifts. They're unwrapped. Sorry, they're still wrapped down in the basement somewhere. I don't know. Like, stick them with the others, Alfred.
But we do get a very warm delivery, as you mentioned there, Kiri, from Alfred. It was,
warm
I'm
delivery.
Sure they would have. I'm sure they would have wanted you to be happy, sir. And all this time,
Hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Bruce. Dear God, man.
but all this time into the movie, we've not really touched on the guy who plays Alfred in this movie and BTAS and beyond. He was in Justice League and all sorts. It is, of course, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. You might
Amazing name.
you might know. I don't know, Gary, because like it might have been bigger in America maybe when you were growing up. Like I used to see the occasional rerun of it over here. But his daughter is Stephanie Zimbalist, who was the star of Remington Steele. Which is the Pierce Brosnan before he was James Bond show, basically.
Yeah.
I never knew what the plotline to Remington Steele was because I thought it was like, it's just like some sort of like
My mom really liked Remington Steele.
Yeah, and the whole plotline is apparently that she's actually an accomplished private eye, but due to sexism, no one wants to deal with her, so she makes up a character called Remington Steele, and then Pierce Brosnan's a thief who starts pretending he's Remington Steele. And so they become like a duo of crime solving. One guy's pretending he's the detective when he's not, and the other one is the actual detective who's having to fight against, living in a man's world, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I had no idea that was the plotline. That actually sounds like a pretty good show to me.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to watch it.
Hell yeah, you sold me on
it. My mom was really like into. I mean, I am as well at this point, but I grew up on like Murder, She Wrote, and I know she really also loved. I think it was called Scarecrow and Mrs. King or something like that, which had a lot of those like crime fighting or investigating duos of unlikely circumstances that were really big around the 80s.
Yeah. But no, just the Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. So he was born in 1918. In New York City. His father was a Russian violinist, and his mother, who was, of course, Ephraim Zimbalist Sr., of course, anyone's wondering, and his mother was an Romanian opera singer called Alma Gluck. And then he was, kind of in that artsy kind of world. He attended boarding school where he did a lot of plays, and then he eventually went to Yale. He's a Yale man. And then he went to the Yale School of Drama and was dropped due to lack of effort, apparently. he got the boot. And so after that, though, he kind of milled around. He did a lot of work in the theater, and his first play was something called, first play on Broadway, something called The Rugged Path, with Spencer Tracy, who longtime listeners will know, of course, Spencer Tracy was supposed to be the Penguin on the 1966 Batman show. And they turned him down because he wanted to kill Batman. That was one of his things. It's like, well, I got to kill Batman on the show, right?
Why would you possibly think that they would accept that?
I'm thinking he probably didn't want to do it. And he's like, I don't want to just say no, so I'll just give them a demand they can't possibly meet.
I want on the show Batman. I would like to kill Batman.
Yeah.
In episode 1.
It's like, I'm not going to down like some chump. The Penguin's got to kill Batman, right? It's like, no, because then there would be no show. Like, well, too bad.
No, in fact, that will not be the case. Shocking, I know.
He did. He ended up taking a break from acting quite early into his career because his first wife, he was married in 1941, and she died. She died in 1950. And so he apparently was so full of grief that he had to take time off for a couple of years, basically, to sort of retool himself. Went work for his parents at like the opera company that they ran, and then he came swinging back in, full force into things. Like he did, he started, but while he was working on Broadway, producing, and he brought a lot of opera to Broadway, and he even won the Pulitzer Prize also in 1950. So actually, we only just pieced that together. That's the same year his wife died. That must have been a crazy, absolutely bonkers year to lose your wife, and then also win the Pulitzer Prize in the same year. But for an opera called The Consul, and then after that he eventually gets picked up on doing TV work and remarried. I don't know. I was maybe it's the point of the point of life I'm in now, where I find out he remarried in 1956, and then they stayed together until 2017. And I just got filled with a kind of melancholy for his first wife. It's just like, oh yeah, she had lived a full life and then died, and then her husband went on and had like a full life with someone else after.
I mean, I'm sure she wouldn't have wanted him to be alone. Like,
no, that's true.
It's not like they divorced or they even it's just something happened.
Yeah. It's just like you think like even 30 years into his second marriage, we'd be like, yeah, I still miss my first wife. Like it's just so it's crazy to me. Like I'm maybe now that I'm at the ripe old age of 36 and death is creeping around every corner now. I don't know why. I just got struck by a very sort of like, it's so sad to think about that. But anyway, let's not bring down the mood.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
But his big thing then was that he worked on 77 Sunset Strip, which apparently is a very successful show, private detective show. I'll say it again because I think I stumbled over 77 Sunset Strip.
That's a lot of sounds, isn't it?
It's like they know I'm going to be writing all those outros years from now. I was like, let's trip them up. Let's get them to try to say 77 Sunset Strip a bunch of times.
Like, now you know how it feels.
Yeah. And from that, apparently that was massively successful. And from that, he went on to be in something called the FBI, which was also massively successful. It was
I thought you meant he just joined the FBI.
Well, he was made an honorary agent because of the massive success of the show he was in.
I was going to say, why didn't they do that to Mulder and Scully? But then when you think about it, it's like, well, they don't really do any actual FBI.
How
in fact, they try not to.
I don't know, Mulder. Like, there's a shipment of drugs coming in tonight. Like, I hardly think the FBI would be concerned with matters like that. But yeah,
we could do a drug bust, or hear me out.
We can go on this wild goose chase yet again.
Have you heard of the hair clip monster?
The hair clip monster. I have indeed.
But yeah, so he was on then 241 episodes of the FBI, and then he just does the thing where he's in like all these TV shows, all the American classic TV shows from the 60s and 70s. So you got Maverick, Rawhide, Fantasy Island, Love Boat.
All of them.
Yeah. He's also into the 90s. He was on The Nanny as well. The beloved Fran Drescher show.
Wait,
yeah.
Who's he on The Nanny?
I'm assuming he might have been like a posh friend of the family, but he did the classic thing that we always loved.
Mr. Sheffield, there we go. I was like, what's his name? And I just needed to hear it in her voice. Mr. Sheffield. There we go.
Yeah, the second high-profile Niles on television of the 90s.
That's right.
There was nothing for years, and then there was two of them, and now there's none again.
It's an odd name. It's not like your name, Niall.
But so close that people keep calling me Niles all the time. And then he does the classic thing that so many actors who we've dealt with over the seasons have done. He was in fact on Murder, She Wrote.
Yes,
as several different characters over several different episodes.
See, now I'm gonna have to go look up. I'm gonna have to go look up which episodes and go rewatch them because it makes me happy.
But then in terms of voice acting, Ephraim did a lot of. Like all the live action TV stuff's like, oh yeah, okay, and then his animation work is just like, what? He was that guy. So the old Iron Man cartoon, he was Justin Hammer, of course, who was then played famously by Sam Rockwell in the movie. And then he played, and I blew my mind when I found out this was him. He was the voice of Dr. Octopus on the 90s Spider-Man show.
What?
So that guy going, I am Dr. Otto Octavius, like that guy. I was watching Batman and Spider-Man back to back then.
That's amazing.
And I could twig on to like, oh, the voice of the Hobgoblin just sounds like the Joker. So that's clearly the same guy. Never knew until now that was Alfred from the show.
I love it.
So I just had to go find the old episodes of him flirting with Aunt May and just be like, that's Alfred. He's doing it. He's doing the stuff.
That's Alfred.
And then, of course, he was in a show that he did voice for, like, a bunch of random things, and Static Shock and Biker Mice from Mars, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh my God, Biker Mice from Mars.
Classic.
Yeah. And he's actually playing the same character he played in another show that I was like, oh, I remember that thing. The Legend of Prince Valiant. Which was the King Arthur show. I remember when I was growing up, I remember the theme tune like the back of my hand because it was very, very serious.
Oh my God. Sorry, I have goosebumps now. You are bringing up something from my childhood that I have not thought of in years.
He was the voice of Ephraim Zimbalist is the voice of King Arthur in
I completely forgot about Prince Valiant. Oh my God.
And it's a theme tune, a whisper in my ear.
It's one of those
I'll do the whole
cartoons
thing, but I'm
with
not
the weird with the weird lips.
And I remember liking it as a kid, but always saying like, "My God, it's so serious." It's like it's treating like it's a Prince Valiant show. It's like it's not about adventure. It's all about like knights having decorum and sitting around.
But it takes itself like so seriously. We're like, all right.
And you're like, is a dragon gonna show up? No. That'd be too silly for the Knights of the Round Table.
How dare you?
Yeah. Tim Curry was it? Good Tim Curry, the erstwhile.
Tim Curry is in everything.
And then Ephraim Zimbalist tragically died in 2014 at the age of 95.
Oh well, I'll bring up one thing about the photo again because I forgot about this in the draft script. He doesn't draw on it. So you might be happy hearing this. Ooh. He doesn't draw on it. He puts it into the back computer because he gets an inkling by looking at it. And he uses its technology to enlarge, enhance, compare, and things. And there's also a bit I really, really like here. I'm going to read a section because it when it's sort of processing the image and coming up with the comparison. He gets a flashback, Bruce, it says, a freakish, surreal reinterpretation of the chemical plant where Batman and the Joker first met. And I won't read the whole thing, but in the flashback, it talks about the tall man falling into the chemicals. And it says, the chemicals swirl and boil, filling the screen. Suddenly it turns into a swirling, you can't say swirling twice, but they did, surrealistic jumble of purple and green colours, out of which erupt various objects of Joker-related imagery, playing cards, chattering teeth, Harley, laughing fish, murderous robot clown toys, and finally a gigantic image of the Joker himself, evil as sin and laughing to bust a gut. I love the way it says stuff like that.
That sounds like much more. It definitely sounds very cinematic. Like that seems like, this is going to be a big standout sequence, that kind of thing.
And the beauty of it is, it's not really happening because then it goes through all this. It dissolves back into the present. And Batman looking at the computer screen, and bam, there it is.
Yeah,
it's confirming who it is.
I like that, actually. Yeah. It feels like it gives a bit more gravitas to the moment than just, I drew a smiley. Oh, my God.
At the same time, I don't know, but I'm assuming that it might have been a budgetary thing or like a time thing because they were like on real crunch time. I get this
might
thing
have been
done.
A time. Like,
and
had to stay under a certain amount of
But I love that there would have been a meeting where they're like, what if he just looks at the picture and he just draws a smile on it, and he's like, oh no.
Well, just give him a red pencil, which I love that he's got a random red pencil.
Yeah, it's not like he's got a series of colored pencils. It's all black pencils and one red one.
Well, I guess it makes me think that secretly Bruce does some editing in his off time. Like, like I'm gonna go with my little red pencil, and I'm just like, this manuscript needs work. I don't know.
You know what? Maybe he actually does. I know you're joking, but maybe he does. Like business proposals.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got a red pencil something. But I just whenever I see a little red pencil, I always think of like my editor and.
That's what I do for a living, Kiri. I'm a proofreader. It's like, oh no, Batman's Batman's just like me.
Batman's just a proofreader. He's like, this whole time, that's his real passion.
Finally, a hero for the likes of you, Niall.
Unless it was like Alfred taught him to read and write at this desk. And he has the red pencil there for every spelling mistake, and he's like, "No, quite, Master Bruce. No."
He's literally like, it's actually just grading of like, show your work on your maths.
Yeah.
And he makes him spell everything the proper way, the English way. Get them U's in there.
And the irony is that, like, that pencil was previously used to point out all of Bruce Wayne's mistakes, and now he's using it to draw down his major mistake of creating the Joker.
Dun, dun, dun. I like it. Done. Yes. Done and done.
And yet,
ship it.
We should touch on the fact there are for some reason there are a series of other photos on the table, including one of Bruce with his dad. Bruce is a little boy with his dad. Another one of the parents together, Bruce and Andrea. Baby Bruce is there. Little baby Bruce Wayne with a dummy in his mouth. Oh my god, so cute.
So cute.
Yeah, don't know why he's looking at it.
Little baby Bruce Wayne.
Like when you had this, and it's old photographs. I'll look at old photographs of myself and see if I'm in this picture with Carl Beaumont as well, maybe. There's a picture that I'm assuming it's Bruce with his mum at his birthday. And he's doing an old fish hook in the mouth routine, pulling the face. And he looks very happy. Yeah, so I'm assuming this is just like, look at how happy his childhood was, where they all lived in some sort of purgatory where it was just nothing but grain in the background. It's like, oh yeah, but that was the decoration that like the Waynes insisted on. Like, yes, everything's just spackled looking void in the back. The whole house is just gray dots everywhere. That's all we need, Alfred.
Just gray dots.
Yeah,
more gray dots. More dots.
Yeah. And of course, then we got just again, how to say, just I would have liked, the whole thing putting the picture in through the back computer is, it's a good cinematic sequence. It kind of brings to mind like The Killing Joke, where it opens with Batman staring at a picture, like a big picture of the Joker on his back computer. They kind of echo that in like in The Dark Knight, where Alfred has his whole, like, some men just like to watch the world burn. And there's a great shot of Christian Bale looking at the screen, and it's just the Joker laughing. And it's just like, it's a really chilling moment. And it's like, ooh, this noted hack Chris Nolan seems to know what he's doing sometimes. But yeah, but also I also kind of like, I wouldn't change it for the world. And just like drawing it on with a red pencil, I kind of do love it as well.
It is kind of fun. Yeah, I don't know. It's dumb, but I like it.
And someone desperately needs to do an edit. Like, someone who has more time than me, maybe go and find a picture of Michael Keaton at the same angle Bruce is at, looking down at something and going, oh no, and then get that picture from the end of The Shining with Jack Nicholson in the old Overlook Hotel, and then draw the smile on it. I'm stunned that that's not a meme already,
Just, oh no.
Yeah.
How did I not see?
But of course, then we do cut to a recurring thing in this movie, one of my favorite recurring things in this movie, coming in on Arthur Reeves as he's ranting to people about how Batman screwed him over once again. So it's a force instincts on his tail, and Batman still got away.
It's great that this is just his entire life.
Yeah.
Basically, this is all he does. He's furious, isn't he, that he got away?
What is he actually doing for the city of Gotham?
Taking down Batman.
Yeah.
My councilman, I think you have better things to do.
Yeah, I mean, around here, at least, people on the council, they'd have to sort out, like garbage collection and things like this.
And it is, like, I get why when, you reveal, like, oh, it's this person's going after, like, I'm assuming, though they never explicitly say it, I'm assuming he knows that he's going to be on that list of people since he gave up the dad.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's why he's so like gung ho about this, as it doesn't
because
seem
they think
like
it's Batman, don't they? Yeah.
I've been working with my theory that Andrea is totally planning to kill Arthur. That's why she's stringing him along with these dates. She's like, yeah, I'm going to get him in bed, and then I'm going to castrate him with my hook hand or whatever.
Yeah, like I
Jesus
assumed.
Christ.
But I will say the way, and I'm wondering if it's just a time thing. Is I don't feel. That's me filling in blanks that I don't think they.
Yeah, it's because
the movie really does.
I never considered that, though. That's actually a good point, though. That might be why he's so gung ho about catching Batman now, is because
he's like, he's gonna come for me. I need you guys to get him.
Yeah.
And he'll be exposed as well. Even I know he'll be dead, but it'll be revealed to everyone as well.
Yeah. Well, it feels though his entire political campaign beforehand was already built on bashing Batman.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure, and I'm also not sure if Andrea actually knows he's the one who gave up the father.
Yeah, but it's a fan theory that I'm just like, oh, she's totally planning to kill him. But
no, I would imagine that was part of it. Like I'm on with you on that, but like watching it, I'm like, I'm not sure she knows, and I'm so confused.
Yeah, but
like, how do you not know? Anyway.
But of course, slams down the phone with unbelievable, and we do have a just fantastic entrance for the Joker, like, tisk tisk, and to think our tax money goes to pay those jerks, and just turning around and just like
Love it.
The backlit and the freaky music and the kind of jarring edit as it goes into him and the big leering face is just like, oh, fantastic. And again, it's so different from anything else in the rest of the. Maybe that's why they cut actually the Bat computer sequence, because if they had a whole thing ending with the Joker's face leering into the camera.
Yeah.
This is like, it's too similar to this, and they're like, nah, I can't do that.
And you can't have it following. You can't have this following that, because then it's like, well, we've just seen the Joker already 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
I would have liked if they had at least. I liked that layering of like you get to kind of see his thought process of just like, even if he's just staring at the photo, going, "Why is this bugging me? Why is this bugging me?" And then it's like boom, 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 and then you like almost see it kind of like as he's staring at the photo, and then you could do this kind of cool thing where like the photo fades into the actual Joker's face, and we're now in the scene. I know you'd have to cut it differently, but I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I do love though the hint they not the hint they give you. It's flat. It's pretty obvious what's going on, but he's got the smile drawing on. But I do love the burst of the Joker's laughter as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice touch.
It's good.
And again, it's just that thing of like the Joker being a constant thorn in Batman's side, where he was literally there going like, maybe when this is over, I can finally give this up. And then like literally 2 seconds later, he's like, wait a minute, oh god damn it, and just remember, oh, that guy, he's still around.
Maybe I can give this up. Nah, but nice try.
But yeah, I mean, I'm noted out for minutes 53. I had to double check there.
Same here. We will head off into the dark night. We will do plugs and everything next episode. Screw it. Look us up. Look Kiri up. You can find us all. We'll be back on Friday with a minute 54 of Bat Minute of the Phantasm.
Next time, minute 54. Minute? That's our secret word of the day! A dismal demagogue determined against the Dark Knight gets a fright as the malicious sovereign of smiles sets him in his sights. The putrid politician is panicked as this pernicious picador penetrates his home base. But could it be that the farcical villain simply has some info for his case? Let's get down to funny business. What does that say? Batmite. I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are. Oh, forget it. Same Batpod. Different Bat Minute.
I must have top, dear fit,